Now, welcome to a video where we're going to talk about DC.
Yes, we are, because we are comic book superhero fans, and we don't talk about DC as much as we could.
I don't think many people talk about DC as much as perhaps their rival Marvel these days. They've kind of been the stepchild of the comic book world,
Yes.
if you will, to use a bad analogy.
Well, I know on Thursday we're going to be seeing Black Adam, and we really loved the Batman that came out earlier this year.
Batman was exceptional. I thought the ending got a little long-winded, but an exceptional film otherwise.
Absolutely. All right, DC has just had a lot of updates going on with their whole films and everything. Just like in the last couple of days, like bombshells have been dropped and rumors and things that aren't so rumory. We're going to get into all of it. We know that their multiverse hadn't been going super great, and everything's been getting delayed and pushed back, and it's kind of been rough. And they've been racing with Marvel just to seemingly keep their head above water.
Yeah, I don't even know how their multiverse works, if that is even... It's never really... It seems so unconnected, unlike the Marvel.
Yeah, they have like the DCEU, and then they have all these other movies too.
Yeah.
It's kind of interesting. But they wanted so bad to keep up with Marvel and get this big team collaboration movie out that everything just seemed to fall apart because Justice League was not what anyone wanted.
They saw the success of that first Avengers film and wanted a piece of that pie and got too excited. And
they didn't do enough slow setup to get there properly.
They did like no setup. It's like, okay, Superman, Batman, Superman, Justice League, go.
And we're like, wait, whoa.
Whoa, hold on.
Where did this all come from? I personally enjoyed the Snyder Cut much better than I enjoyed the theatrical release.
I did too. I know there's fair critiques against the Snyder Cut, but I actually enjoy it more.
In comparison with just the two, I enjoy it more.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that it's the top tier movie,
no,
but
certainly not.
Out of those two choices, I picked that.
I did prefer it, yes.
Their initial partnership, WB's, Warner Brothers, with the Snyders actually was kind of falling apart, and the studio was getting cold feet with their replacements. Now, Walter Hamada, who ran the DC franchise from 2018 through the end of the 2023 slate, that was kind of their time in charge of the DC slate, has opted to take his exit with the release of Black Adam, following his frustration with Warner Brothers' controversial decision to cancel the HBO Max film Batgirl.
Yeah, we didn't cover that at all, but that was certainly a stir.
Well, a stir is definitely...
That's one way to put it.
One way to put it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, the latest piece from Hollywood Reporter outlined many plans in development for the DC films. For starters, the release of Black Adam is on many superhero fans' minds because Dwayne Johnson pushed it on everybody's minds because he's a talented actor, and he's like, you know what, this is what we can do. I want an opportunity, and he kept insisting he also wanted an opportunity to fight against Superman. Not just any Superman, Henry Cavill Superman.
Hey, you know I have a little thing for Henry Cavill, so anybody who watches the Meme Mondays knows it's...
So kind of days after the initial premiere, it became more of an open secret now. I think it's fair to say this isn't even a spoiler at this point, that Henry Cavill's Superman is going to make a long-awaited return in the mid-credit scene. Mid-credit scene, Superman. And what's great is, I don't know how many people know much about Superman and, let's say, Shazam and Black Adam. They have the same power set.
More or less, yeah.
Superman's weakness is magic. You don't think he has a weakness. He's actually got no defense against magic.
Except for being Henry Cavill.
So, when you see someone like Shazam flicking that lightning around, that's magic. That's not like regular elemental force. It is magic.
Yeah.
So, a fight between those two could be really epic because... there's a weakness involved.
Yes, that's one of the big problems with Superman, right? Mm-hmm. There's not a lot of weakness there. Not a lot to challenge him.
That's why they're like, kryptonite, and then later they're like, yeah, magic. Let's make him weak to something else, magic.
Yeah.
I mean, they said negotiations were difficult. With Hamada, originally, he vetoed that cameo multiple times, but eventually, Dwayne Johnson and crew were in
Rock can be persistent.
Were very favorable of this, greenlit the appearance. It was shot in September.
Wow.
Yes, this was shot super late.
Finally caved.
Yeah.
They're smelling what the Rock's cooking, I guess. Just a little late.
A little late, but yeah. Johnson said it was a major factor getting Warner Brothers and Henry Cavill to come to terms on a favorable deal for both parties.
Sure. Mm-hmm. Well, we know there's been some animosity between the two, I guess, or
Yeah.
just rumors of different Superman. I mean, there's been so much with DC.
That's why we're talking about it.
I know. I feel like, yeah, we don't cover it because DC is so much rumor and just
messy and-
it's
yeah.
so messy. I mean, not that Star Wars and Marvel can't get messy, but DC has just seemed like a crap show lately, to put it PG.
Well, yeah, I know The Rock's been saying he wants Black Adam versus Superman. He wants that movie. But not only would we possibly be getting that movie, it is now stated that we might be getting a DC film revolving around our Henry Cavill Superman in another solo film.
Man of Steel 2.
Man of Steel 2. They've already said that the Man of Steel producer, Charles Roven, is set to produce. They don't have a writer or anything set yet, but it is kind of going to be a busy schedule for Cavill. He is set to film back-to-back seasons of The Witcher starting next year, so he might have some more cameos pop up in other DC projects, but that's all we can expect really for the time
It's going
being.
to cut into his gaming time.
I know, with Dragonflight coming out, he's going to be busy.
I think he still plays WoW, maybe. I don't know.
I think he still plays Warcraft.
I
Maybe he
hope so.
plays Classic. Who knows?
He probably does play Classic. That seems more his stuff. Even though it's so grindy and so much, I don't know. I don't want to speak for Henry Cavill, but I'm sure he still games. That's all we know.
Yes.
Something.
Well, elsewhere, James Gunn is currently developing Season 2 of The Peacemaker on top of 2 other spin-offs for television that James Gunn is working on. One of which is expected to revolve around Amanda Waller, and the other is also supposed to be kind of adjacent to the Suicide Squad IP as well, but that's kind of all we know on what he's developing for like his TV types spin-offs. Also, The Hollywood Reporter indicates that James Gunn is developing 1 or more movies alongside the producer of Aquaman, Shazam, and The Suicide Squad.
Interesting.
Yes.
James Gunn has kind of become the man over there, hasn't he?
Well,
For DC.
he knows how to make goofy work.
He does, which is not easy. Like,
Yeah,
I
I
actually
mean-
really enjoyed Peacemaker.
Well, and James Gunn was really good with his Guardians of the Galaxy movies, and now they're
Yeah,
kind
well,
of moving
certainly,
to this Taika Waititi direction, which I think, yes, can be funny,
Not
but
in the same
not
way.
in the
It's
way
a
James
different
Gunn does,
kind of funny.
where James
Yes.
Gunn can still capitalize on the serious tones and stuff and knows when the comedy
yeah.
is good. He's got
He
the
doesn't
timing.
undercut himself the way Taika Waititi usually does, or has, especially in the most recent, I should say, Thor movie, where he just every serious moment is undercut by comedy.
DC films kind of embrace the idea of a multiverse, allowing for the existence of one-off films and franchises not tied to their main continuity. They did great with the greenlit 2019 Joker, which was a huge hit, the highest-grossing R-rated film of all time.
It was very good. Absolutely.
Now, the sequel, Joker, Foyer à Deux, is in the pipeline, making the franchise kind of dramatically different direction with, Joaquin Phoenix's Joker is clearly his own thing.
Yeah.
He will have a new iteration of Harley Quinn, portrayed by Lady Gaga, and the story will be a musical.
Okay. I
Hey.
trust, right?
You just
That's what we
gotta
must
let
do.
it go and see what happens, I guess.
I guess so.
If this is a success, don't expect a Marvel.
A
Marvel
we already
musical on
got
the line.
Rogers, the musical, don't we?
Maybe they stole it from him.
Maybe.
Maybe. One other thing that's come out of the pipeline, Constantine 2. I mean,
Wait a minute.
Yeah.
2? As in a
Constantine
sequel
2.
to the...
yep, it's going to be a sequel to the 2005 Keanu Reeves film, Constantine.
Oh.
All right.
Okay, I mean, I love Keanu Reeves. I mean,
Well, they did make some, liberal changes, I feel like, with the character.
I
in
hardly
that.
remember that movie other than him, flipping him off at the end. That's what I remember from that movie.
Yeah, I mean, originally J.J. Abrams was set to produce a number of shows based on, the Justice League Dark properties.
J.J. Abrams, you
Yeah,
say?
originally.
Okay, originally. Good. Okay, so no
Including-
longer attached?
John Constantine with the proposed show Constantine and Madam X, but they were both canceled by HBO Max. They're done. Bad Robot is attempting to shop these shows elsewhere, but currently they were canceled for HBO Max.
I think Bad Robot should be canceled. I'm sorry. JJ just does not. He's the ruiner of franchises at this point.
Well, maybe that's why HBO canceled them. We'll see. Also canceled HBO Max was the upcoming Zatanna movie. Personally, I really like Zatanna, and I hope she pops up elsewhere, which makes me sad. I really do like
You do. You are, yeah.
Zatanna. Nonetheless, Abrams is said to be involved in the Constantine film sequel,
Ooh.
and apparently has some other DC work in the pipeline.
Can he just be a separate part of the like the cornerverse? Can we call him of the?
Well, he might be. I mean, they haven't
DC
said that the Constantine movies are in the.
I know, in one of the.
In the main DC storyline that the
yes.
Justice League is in.
Okay.
Speaking of Abrams, many questions have been asked about the Superman project he was set to produce, which would have been the black actor portrayed as Superman. It was going to be a standalone film like the first Joker. It was meant to revolve around an original iteration of Superman, or at least one not based on Clark Kent, and it would have been set over the course of several decades. However, with the push for a new Clark Kent-focused Superman film, it is possible that this project might be shelved so as not to confuse people with 2 Superman movies coming out.
Makes sense.
Yeah. If not permanently shelved, maybe at least for the time being.
It's put into the Star Wars category of films.
Oh, yeah. Of course, the biggest focus of these non-DCEU films falls in the hands of Matt Reeves, who did the successful reboot of the standalone Batman film franchise.
Yeah, I thought the Matt Reeves Batman. Again, I think it gets a little long-winded at the end, but other than that, it is.
I mean, everyone
it puts the detective in Detective Comics finally.
I mean, everyone made the jokes. So look at that. We've got the Twilight Boy playing Batman.
He sparkled in this, though. He really
sparkled. And you know what? He was a vampire. Now he's a bat. It's the same thing. He's good at it.
My God, he just transformed. I didn't
He
even
did.
think
He
about
just
that. He's just in
transformed.
his bat form. It
Exactly.
makes sense. It's all connected.
wanted
Twilight
you to-
and the
yes.
Batman verse.
Reeves has so far expanded his list of DC projects to not just the Batman sequel, but also a Penguin spin-off series starring Colin Farrell as the rising crime lord.
I did not know
It
that
films
was Colin
next
Farrell
year.
until after the movie, and I still don't believe it.
I know. They did
He was
such
totally
a good job.
transformed in that role, yes.
He's also got an untitled Arkham spin-off. It's going to be a show which could see the return of possibly the Riddler and the Joker, as they were both imprisoned in Arkham.
Conveniently put in 2 cells next to each other.
They're going to be friends. These projects are the tip of the iceberg, so to speak. Reeves is meeting with several other writers and directors to expand his iteration of the Batman universe into a full-blown cinematic universe all unto itself, with additional spin-off projects based around characters like Clayface, Scarecrow, and Professor Pig, said to be in early development.
It will be very curious to see how they bring in some of those villains in a more grounded, realistic universe. Because it is very, it's, you know...
Scarecrow, we could see easily.
Scarecrow, sure, yeah.
Clayface is going to be the hardest one. Professor Pig is an easy one, too.
Sure, I'm just saying, Batman has plenty of villains that are more fantastic, shall we say?
Yeah, colorful.
Yeah, colorful. Perfect word.
I mean,
yes.
the new logo I saw that, I don't know if it's real or if it's a fan-made one, was blue. And I was like, maybe it's Mr. Freeze. We'll see.
Maybe they could get Arnold again. Everybody freeze.
But it appears that some of those projects are being considered as films as opposed to just being focused TV shows. Back with the DCEU, there's still plenty in the pipeline. Wonder Woman 3, still a thing that's happening somehow after the bomb that was Wonder Woman 2.
What is Patty Jenkins doing right now? It seems like she's got so many things that she's doing none of them.
And Flash still moving along,
Huh?
despite a number of controversies with the film's star. Warner Brothers
Talking about
is
crap
incredibly
shows.
confident in the film, which will help shape the future of the setting. And I don't know.
How is that? I don't even
Well,
understand
if
how
they're
that's
going
gonna work.
into like the, oh my gosh, the speed, using Speed Force and doing multiverse and time travel, so they could easily enough recast him throughout the way. We get a new Flash.
It would be great if halfway through the movie they replace Ezra Miller and just
Ta-da!
explain it in story.
Exactly.
But we all
perfect.
know there'll be a little wink at the camera when the new one takes over.
I mean, we don't know what's going to happen. They haven't said 100% sure if we're doing some sort of a recast or what are we doing.
It's got to be. I mean, there is no way Ezra Miller will be
Yeah. I mean, the
ever acting again, I think, much less than the Flash.
The long-delayed Green Lantern anthology series is still moving forward on HBO Max, covering multiple time periods and focusing on different members of the Green Lantern Corps. A number of movies like Shazam! Fury of the Gods, Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom, and Blue Beetle are in post-production, so...
Blue Beetle, really?
Yeah, Blue Beetle, going more obscure, which I like.
Definitely.
He's got it's a guy with like an alien suit.
Yeah.
Very cool. While others like Black Canary and Static Shock are said to be in development. Black Canary is another character I've always liked, and I used to watch the Static Shock cartoon show when I was a kid. He's got lightning powers.
Yeah,
Static,
I mean...
shock,
Go
so,
figure.
He used to fly around on manhole covers because he could, like, electrify them and stuff and use force to fly around on them. It was cool.
Oh, yeah. That's cool.
Mm-hmm.
That's what all the cool kids are doing these days on the TikToks. I'm just kidding.
But what are you thinking?
I think DC has an ambitious plan.
I mean, there's no dates attached to, like, anything. But I like that they do have a plan. It didn't seem like they had a plan when they were rushing things out before. Now it feels like they're slowing down and trying to realize what is working and what isn't working for them.
And I think this is the perfect time to do it because I think Marvel has hit a lull.
Marvel seems to be unraveling us a tiny bit, and this is where DC could come in with well-made projects and kind of scoop up that market.
And I think their approach to not go with a one cohesive... It's so funny, like, I almost feel like the day and age of the franchise, that one singular franchise may be coming to an end.
It could be. I mean, separating their properties into multiple smaller units, it can work.
Yeah, it gives you much... It's more liberating. It allows for more creativity, allows for you to do different... You don't have to worry about the continuity between them. There are a lot of benefits, especially if they, for the most part, are all good in and of themselves.
I like the idea of Batman being a standalone franchise because then you can't go, well, why didn't you just call Superman to come help? Well, Superman doesn't exist. This is Batman.
Yeah, and then he can still be in another universe. I mean, is it going to be confusing? I don't think so.
I don't think
too
so.
much.
I think the fact that they have different actors, I think they have such different tones. I think it'll be good. It'll be good.
No, I have faith. I'm more curious about the casual, viewer who doesn't, are they going to understand this is not all connected after getting used to Marvel connecting everything? No, I think this is ambitious. I like DC. Like, Marvel is, throughout my life, I think Marvel's kind of always been my number one because it's what I found first. I've always been like X-Men and Thor. But I've always loved Superman. Superman's always been my favorite DC character. So I do like them, and I hope this is...
standard answer.
I know it is. I know it's the most generic, plain answer you can give. I like Superman. Yes, I do. I'm sorry, I do. It had a lot to do with the Christopher Reeve Supermans and the...
I know.
I grew up with those. Those are like my first superhero movies, and I absolutely love the first two, and don't talk about the next two.
I prefer Batman over Superman.
That's fine.
Michael Keaton Batman was my childhood.
Yeah,
I mean, I'm not saying I didn't watch the Christopher Reeve Superman movies, but the Batman movies I preferred.
Yeah. So I hope this is the turning point, and like I said, it's the perfect time to pounce because Marvel is certainly maybe on the back foot a little bit at this point. Though, they have their X-Men's and their Fantastic Fours and all these other big things coming. So, I don't know. I certainly room for both, too.
Absolutely.
Good luck to DC. Fingers crossed for them. And, well, that is all we got for you this time. So take to the comments below. Tell us what you think of any and all of this news. Quite a bit thrown at us, but that's what DC is going to try to do, it seems like. Mm-hmm. And let's talk some DC. And until next time, thanks for watching.